What's going on, guys? It's your boy Panda here, and welcome back to the channel. Now, if you guys missed my good, bad, and ugly review of Modern Warfare 3 following the final weekend of the beta, I'll put a link to that down in the description below. But, spoiler alert, one of my biggest gripes on Modern Warfare 3 was the spawn system, and I felt like, in and all, there were two things that needed to go way more in-depth on, and it was the spawn system and the SBMM. And skill-based matchmaking, that'll be a whole follow-up video that we're going to post tomorrow or the next day whenever that comes out. But in this video, I wanted to talk about the spawns, and there's been a little bit of miscommunication based off of some shorts I've posted recently talking about how we weren't able to spawn trap in the game. People are like, why would you want to spawn trap? It breaks the game, it ruins the game. And I think I misinterpreted that towards you guys on what I meant by that, and we'll go in depth on that on what I mean. But mainly, I was complaining about the domination mode, and I'll explain to you guys later what that means. Before we go any further, if you guys want to stay up to date with all things Call of Duty related, whether it's Modern Warfare 3, Warzone, Zombies, anything, gameplay, info, leaks, news, whatever it might be, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It means the world to me. We upload almost every single day here on the channel, so enjoy the video, boys. It's no surprise that Call of Duty spawns in a beta were horrible. I mean, they brought back nostalgic maps, so why not bring back the nostalgic crappy spawns? But was even worse than ever before. And honestly, I have to admit, from weekend 1 to weekend 2, there was a noticeable difference on certain maps, but Rust and Highrise, because they were new and didn't have a lot of players being on them and seeing spawn stuff and getting more data on that, they were pretty bad. I don't expect Rust to be, it's like Shipment, you'll never get good spawns on small maps, but when it came to Highrise, there was some pretty bad spawns, which we'll go into that later in this video. We're going to break them all down and kind of give my examples of what I'm talking about, but overall, between weekend 1 and weekend 2, they weren't as bad on weekend 2, but it was a very noticeable thing inside of domination, and that's something that we're going to talk about here in a second. The whole point of the domination game mode is to be able to control the map and dominate your opponent and hold them into one spot. Now, if you get too aggressive, you push in, and the spawns should flip. There should be no way of you being able to behind enemy lines and just slaughtering them as they spawn and giving them no chance. Now, I fully agree with that. In my recent TikToks and some shorts, I've been saying, like, one of my biggest things is they couldn't have a spawn, or they didn't have spawn trapping, wasn't available. And I don't mean that in the egregious way of spawn trapping is what we need in the game and you should never be able to leave your spawn. I mean that as there should be a way for me to hold spawns when it comes to domination. When you have two flags, there's a strategic point of being able to hold angles so that those players have to figure out a way to strategically get out of their spawn and make their way to the middle of the map, whether that be flanking through an alley or holding a line of sight so they can pick off a few of your guys and pushing together as a team. There has to be some incentive for them to spawn there. And once this started happening where players were spawning all over the map, it was really bad on the State and Skidrow specifically. I don't know why I realized it that much on those maps, but it turned it into more of like a glorified team deathmatch with objectives. And it's really frustrating. Now, I'm not going to say anything about Rust, that map. I don't expect the spawns to ever be good. It's like having Shipment and people being like, the Shipment spawns suck. Well, no, duh. It's Shipment and Rust. They're not going to have good spawns. But maps like Estate and Skidrow have lanes of travel. They are vertical style maps that have 3 courses of how you get around the map. There's no reason that the players who have the A and B flag should be punished for not being aggressive towards the C flag. Now, like I said, I fully understand if you push up into the C flag and you start getting too aggressive, yeah, you should get the spawns flipped or at least give some way for them to push them to another location. But that's not the case in Modern Warfare 3. One of the biggest inconsistencies that I noticed inside of the game, no matter the game mode, team deathmatch, hardpoint, domination, kill confirmed, it didn't matter, was that spawns were being pushed out in ways that shouldn't make sense. They shouldn't happen this way. And it's like one player from an enemy team with 5 or 4 of my teammates in that vicinity not dying was forcing out my players to spawn on my team in other locations and vice versa. So let's give an example here. Now, if you look at this tac map here of Skidrow, we have this location right here where my teammate is spawning and my whole team, let's say, is spawning in this far corner. This is the head glitch steps right here where my cursor is. Now, the enemy team spawns here in construction. A lot of times people push to the avenue to meet up in this area where the hallway is, vice versa. Now, if my team is majority here and controlling this side of the map, whether it's upstairs or not, this team should continue to spawn in this area over here. Now, if one of these players pushes down this tunnel and gets a kill on a teammate here, it would more likely force them to spawn in this area. But in Modern Warfare 3, it is causing us to spawn somewhere around this area or even here, which is now putting pressure on where they're spawning here, coming down and going into instant engagements, which is where a lot of times this hallway, where we see a lot of engagements happen, I was a lot of times in this hallway having opponents just come right here in this way and spawn right there repeatedly while my teammates controlled a majority of this side of the map. So let's take another example into consideration. Let's look at Favella. So Favella is a very 3-lane oriented map, and you can see that by here, coming down the steps, lane 1, coming down here through the middle, lane 2, and coming down to the side here, lane 3. Now, you could say there's micro lanes on roofs and stuff like that, but the majority of the map is a side-to-side horizontal 3-lane map. Now, spawns for most games start here and back here, or in this corner for depending on the game mode, but let's say domination, for example. We have the A flag here, and we have the C flag here. We're not even going to talk about the B flag in this area. We're just going to talk about these two flags because this is where it becomes important. Now, if this team captures A and this team captures C, the fight in the middle of the map should be for B. Now, any engagements happening in these areas would push this team to spawn here, maybe here if they're kind of more pushed up on this side, or vice versa. Now, if this team takes B and puts pressure on this C flag, there are multiple areas. This spot, this spot, this spot, this spot, and even this spot, if super aggro, are areas that they can spawn to now try to fight for this B flag. But what was happening in Modern Warfare 3 was if teams were spawning here and this side held a majority of the control here on this side of the map, the moment one player would break past probably the 70% line of this map, maybe 70 to 60% line, you would then have this team spawning right here on the C flag. I can't tell you the number of times I was here on the roof on a head glitch shooting at this direction on rooftops, and I would hear the enemy is taking C. Turn around, see 2 to 3 guys spawned right here while my teammates are here, 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 and here. And it just doesn't make any sense. So let's quickly go through a state just to explain a little bit more. Now, if you take a state here, this is where some of the spawns would be. You have back garden house here, so you have the A flag back here. You have the B flag in this area, and you have the C flag in this area. So the flag is going to be centered around this cabin. So if you control A and B, you should be able to go about to here around B to control the spawns with no real issues. If teams push up to about here, you're not going to get spawns to flip unless it's multiple people. Now, the issue with this was I control A, right? And I control B. If C is taken by my opponents and I'm getting a kill on an opponent in this area that pushed up maybe too aggressive, they should essentially spawn here in this area, back here to reset, even back here depending on where my teammates are positioned. But in Modern Warfare 3, they were spawning in the cabin, which makes absolutely zero sense. While I get a kill here and maybe my teammates die here, my teammates are now spawning here and they're spawning in the cabin with no other prior map control that they don't have. It's just my team that has the control. So it makes no sense. We're going to go to Highrise for the last example. So this is Highrise. So if we take a look, most spawns start here and most spawns start here, elevator side. There used to be the nostalgic run to the windows and snipe across at each other. It was fun to do, and it made sense. Now, if we're playing hardpoint or any mode, the hardpoints are jumping spot to spot to spot to spot, correct? That makes sense. Now, back in the day, at least from my knowledge, growing up playing Modern Warfare 2, the OG one, we never really spawned in this area at all. Maybe back in the tunnels underground over here and over here, but we never spawned in the lower bowl here. So what we were noticing was happening inside of Modern Warfare 3 was if my team had map control, let's say they had a split like this. We're going to cut the map in half, kind of follow my cursor. We controlled this portion of the map. We should be spawning in this back area and at most spawning up near this window side. There's never should be a case where we spawn underground here or over here in any way and vice versa for them. But what we were noticing inside of Modern Warfare 3 was the moment you took the helipad and you were here and you were getting kills on this side and let's say their team was kind of forced into this kind of corner and they were backed up and they couldn't get any further, they started spawning down here, like underground to go up this ramp to fight in here. Or they were spawning underground here, which this one makes a little more sense, but it gave a direct route to come right up these steps. So if I control this area, I have to be prepared for an instant gunfight. So that's probably the best spawn they were getting, but they should be spawning in this area, and this underground. It makes sense, but people were spawning right under here, and then a little more aggression and we push up more. They start spawning here, here, and here, which just doesn't make any sense. So that's kind of my best way to explain it through like visual. It's very hard to explain over like just wording, verbiage, just saying what you think is wrong with the spawns. Now, do I know how to fix the spawns? No, I'm not a game dev. That would be something that's way above my pay grade. No idea what goes into that, but hopefully they're capturing enough data that over time the spawns can get much better, which they usually do, but this one felt the most outrageous. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. I appreciate all the love and support recently here on the channel. If you guys did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe and turn on those post notification bells so you guys never miss an upload. And I will see you guys in tomorrow's video, which is all about the beautiful, wonderful, skill-based matchmaking. Love you guys to death. Deuces, boys.